you can believe that. We'll take a little break from it, though. We'll go up to Conway, Arkansas, to the central part of the state, to visit with a young boy by the name of Kenny West, who is a knife maker. Kenny is kind of a throwback, I think, from the olden days. He is maybe the best knife maker there is. And on top of that, he's just really a super, super person. I think that he has a lot to say that we need to listen to. Ken, I love your little one-man operation up here. This is beautiful.
Thank you. It's what it is, a one-man operation.
Don't never change this, incidentally. We heard some fellas out there saying you needed a bigger shop. Oh, man, don't ever change it.
I think that would ruin the business I'm in because of the fact that the friends come here because they can let down and not feel like they're just a statistic somewhere in a big store.
Do you feel like, I know you've already talked to me about this a little bit, do you feel like this is a thing that's getting away from our country, not as many people actually doing this?
Yes, I feel like there's a lot of people who maybe possibly buy blades and put handles on them, but to me that's not knife making. But I feel like as a whole this country has got to, they got to the point now to where they feel like they have to mass produce everything to stay up with competition with foreign products, and you lose the quality there.
Well, you know, a guy who's wanting to fillet fish or wanting to dress out an animal or just have a beautiful knife to hang up wants a good sharp blade on it.
That's right.
And then the way you're doing it guarantees a sharp blade, doesn't it?
It'll be kept sharp for the life of the knife free. That's just something I feel like a business can be built on service instead of maybe just getting a man's money to try and get him in here and give him some service for once.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are beautiful. I guess in spite of the fact that you've got all sizes and shapes, I like this little guy right here better than any of them.
I do too. I send a lot of this knife out west. A lot of your elk hunters and a lot of men up in the northern country like to hunt caribou and moose prefer a short blade with a drop point here where it drops and you have a good point to the knife, but you also have a good belly to it, and this is where you do all your skinning right here. Mm-hmm. But at the same time you need a point, a good sharp point for entrance into the hide.
Mm-hmm. Ken, right there is the most important thing, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, Jerry, that's your D2 tool steel. D2 is one of your tool steels that I prefer for knife making, and is probably the most widely used steel for knife making by knife makers.
Comes in a bigger piece than that, I guess.
Yes, well, yeah, what I buy it in 6-foot lengths. You can get it any thickness you want and any width you want, or you can buy it in sheet form.
Well, do you think this is better than saw blades?
I like it, yeah, I prefer it much better than I do saw blades because of the fact it won't rust on you near as easily, and the average man will not take care of a knife. Mm-hmm. And I prefer it also for the consistency of the metal and its ability to hold an edge once it's taken care of and tempered properly.
Then you got to cut a piece off of it and come up with this right here.
Yes. The first thing I like to do is talk to my customer and see what he's going to do with the knife. Then from that I go to the size of knife he wants, and I go to the shape of the blade he needs, and I come out and we can sit here and making a custom knife, you can get the design you want.
Mm-hmm. And then you, as you can see right here, you've just just draw it in the place where you're going to start grinding, right?
Yes, sir, that'll be my bevel.
Well, let's take this, let's run it over to the saw now and just grind that out and see what it looks like.
Okay.
Takes Ken about a day to make a knife, I guess, and after he gets it shaped and an edge on it, he claims that the most important thing about the knife is the tempering. And he cools the knife after heating it, getting it ready to temper. He cools in an oil, and he really claims that this is the most important thing that he does. Now then, Ken, we're going to make the guard, and you have to pardon me, I don't know the correct name for some of these things.
That'd be called a hilt.
A hilt?
Yes, sir, or a finger guard.
Okay, a finger guard sounds
sir.
Better to me. I
yes,
remember
sir.
that.
It's more common. It's more common.
This is your brass,
right?
Which you have cut out of this big hunk of brass.
Yes, sir. This is an 1.5 inch piece by 1/2 inch thick. What I do, I come in here, and the most common guard for a skinning knife like we're making is 3/4 inch wide. And what I do is I cut my brass here from 3/4 to 1 inch wide, depending on the size knife I want. And you can see where I've cut that out.
Okay, and then you've already cut the hole out.
Yes, sir. That is for my tang, or the shank, to go back through.
Okay,
that will go into the handle.
We'll just begin to put it together a little bit right here. And then the tang is going to slip right down that little hole there.
Yes,
right?
sir. That goes through your finger guard that I've milled out a hole for there.
And of course, we're dealing with a knife now that's a little bit further along.
Yes, sir.
This has already been polished and tempered, right?
Yes, sir. It's been polished, tempered, and then repolished.
Okay, now you put this in the vise, and you will solder this, right?
Yes, sir. I use silver solder. Reason being, silver solder is
Goes all around the edge there.
Right, is your strongest solder you can get. Has more tensile strength and gives the customer a better product.
Okay, and then you just start working this by hand.
Well, once I put my handle on, then I work the brass and the handle together.
Well, okay, we got handle right here.
Okay.
We can kind of show how that will fit.
Right.
The handle will fit on. Now your tang will be a little bit longer than
Yes, sir.
You'll extend that.
Oh yes, I'll extend my tang for strength back into the antler and then epoxy it.
Okay. And then it's there forever.
It's there for good.
Then you'll start. Actually, then your last step is to start finishing the finger guard.
To finish the brass, yes, you bring the guard. You take the finger guard and you bring it down to the point desired down here, and you cut out the back to make your pretty design for the forefinger to fit. And then you work the antler with the brass, and you have perfect lines on it. And then the last thing you do is polish. Your polish is actually where your time is taken up.
Ken, something else I found very interesting. I would like to, for you again, say one of the big reasons you like doing this is because the young people come by.
Well, the main reason that I have loved this shop is because of the kids that stop in from the schools, from the other churches, and they get to stop in and they feel like they can let down here. And we have good talks about Jesus Christ. We have good talks about authority with their parents, authority in school, and they can ask questions and not feel like they're being browbeaten. They don't feel like I'm mom and dad, but rather a friend. And they need to realize that their mother and father are their best friends next to Jesus Christ. And once they develop a sense of humor in life, then they can understand that the authority itself is an umbrella over their freedoms, just as our authority in this nation is an umbrella over our freedoms.
Well, we're back up on the Red River in Logansport, Manitoba, wrestling with Catfish again. That's a long way from Conway, Arkansas, isn't it? Didn't take us long to get back up there, though. I really enjoyed talking to Kenny West down there, the knife maker down in Conway, though, and I hope you did, too. It seems kind of strange here in the first few weeks that I've been fishing. It seems like I have either been into Canada or very close to the border. Lake Champlain was awful close to the border, and of course, we started grayling fishing. Believe me, we're headed south here in a few weeks to do a lot of different fishing from all over the country now. You know that we're going to cover everyone's fishing. I've got so much variety in the weeks to come. I hope you're not going to miss any of these shows. Okay, speaking of variety, the boy in the back of the boat here getting us lots of variety, isn't he? That's Dan Gapin. Dan hails from Minneapolis. He's an outdoor rider, makes some lures, gets around the country, does lots of fishing, and has always been one of my favorite guys to fish with.
And if you ease off on them just a little bit, they'll come better.
They kind of swim and
They'll swim up current. Well, but the minute you start putting pressure on them here, boy, you're in trouble.
yeah. Now's when the fun's going to start, isn't it?
Yeah, it should. Unless this is... Oh, see, now I'm just gently easing them to surface.
I can hardly wait to see that.
Maybe.
I am ready for one of them things.
Ooh, there's the indicator. Oop,
Yep.
there he goes.
He realizes that he belongs on the bottom, doesn't he? That's home to him.
Yeah.
I think this is bigger than the other one, huh?
I think so. I'm not sure. He felt bigger. Ooh.
Saw a tail.
Saw a tail. Saw a tail. Ugh.
We've lost ground now.
Yeah, he's taking it away. They sure bite. They bite like a little fish. You can't tell that.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Oh, good Lord. I can't believe this.
He come up and looked at you with one eye.
Sure did. He's looking at you. He's looking at me.
Oh, no. He says,
knows
there's
that I'm
a TV star right there. He's giving you the
I'm
one
no
ball.
trouble. I'm the good guy.
Ooh.
He heard that turn
I
him
tell you
loose.
what, you know what, you fight one of these, and you can feel it in your shoulders.
Doing right.
Where is he, McInnes? It's not This is when it's brute force.
It's a lot of fish on a shark casting rod.
Come on, baby. Oh, he's right there. He's right below the bait walker. Now, Gary, can't you see him?
I don't see nothing, man.
There's a big splash. There he comes. Look at him. He'd look right at both of us. Man. McInnes.
Well, get him this time.
You're not very quick with that net.
I can't. What do you want me to do? Net that swirl?
Well, yeah, get the swirl. Lead it like you would a duck. There he is. Oh, McInnes missed him.
Sorry about that. He just wasn't ready yet.
All he did was touch his tail. There comes the orange rig. He's coming up. There he is. There he is. There he is. There you got him. You got him. Oh, that's nice. There he is. Oh, isn't he pretty?
Thought those two guys never would land that big catfish. The baits we're using to catch them with now are magic bait and chicken liver. They were the best things we could use. And I want to show you one more time the setup on a bait walker. The weight sits on the bottom and the bait off the bottom just a little bit. And then when a catfish comes up and hits it, as in the blue here, he knocks some slack in the line. And that's when you know that you have had a strike. Here goes, Dan. Here goes.
Ooh. Got
one. Oh! Dan, that fish wasn't 10 foot behind the boat.
I know it. I just reeled up.
Ooh. Another dude.
Is he good?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. You ready for net?
No.
No.
I'm ready. He's not.
He's not. No. There you go. There you go. Round and round. They do a spin. Big slow spin. There. Look at there. Look at there. Ooh.
Woo! Wee! What a fish.
A little one, Jerry.
A little one.
What do you bend over like that for?
That's English. That's body English. Whoa.
Oh. I'll show him the net. Here's the net fish.
No, don't do that. You crazy? I have enough problems.
You know, rods weren't meant to bend around the boat. I think you got a good one.
I think I got a dandy on there.
Yeah.
Look at that little old rod. Doubled. Talk about...
That right McGill stick wasn't meant to wrap around the bottom of the boat, no.
Oh, it's taking the contour of the boat, isn't it? Don't do that. Don't need any of that, gaping.
Well,
wow.
Yeah, how about that?
That's the worst one yet.
Oh, Mr. Whiskers. Give McInnes a bad time, Whiskers. He needs it.
Holy cow.
Look at that. Bend the rod. Come on, fight him.
Oh, I'm not doing any good at all, I'm telling you.
There's the indicator.
Okay, now.
Now, I can't see him. It's all full of foam.
Find you a clear spot.
I don't see your fish. Wait a minute, I gotta get the foam away. Where's your fish?
Woo! There he is. Oh my God! What a fish! Good grief!
There you are, sir.
Oh,
What do you want to do with it?
put him right here for a second.
You do. You want him on the bottom of the
Holy
boat?
cow, that is a monster. I don't know where we go from here, gaping.
I don't know either. That's 25 pounds plus.
That's the
That's a big one. Oh, yeah.
Of course, I can't say that.
That's what we
I
came
never
for.
caught one over 10 pounds in my life in the first
that right?
place. So
Oh,
I don't
there.
know what
I got the net. I got the net.
Oh golly, yeah, he's a lot bigger than anything
Isn't
we've
he a nice fish?
caught before.
Yeah.
I was going to break that off.
How about that?
Huh? Hey, and this
yeah.
is a pretty one too.
Yeah.
You know it?
Yeah. He's look at the coloring. Look at the marks on him.
Wow, what a
Pretty.
catfish!
That's Mr. Big.
Oh my word!
I told you they grow 'em big here in the Red River.
Oh, that is some kind of fish, Dan.
Yeah. can't get over it. First time I fished them up here, I just couldn't believe it. I didn't believe they average almost 20 pounds at times.
Gapin, I'm reading your book here on catfish, The Whiskered Walleye.
Yeah, how about that?
I can't believe that.
You know, Yankee, what else would I call it, you know?
Well, it is a very good book, and a catfish, you know, as I've told you before, in my estimation, is a really interesting guy, and a lot of, he's getting a little spotlight here the last few years,
yes,
especially around here.
Yes, that's right.
We've got a big catfish here that I'm going to kind of lean forward here and pull him back in the shot.
Come here, fella.
And we're going to talk about him real quickly and then get him back in the water because he's as live as he can be. This is a big channel cat.
Yeah.
And Dan, the lateral line on a catfish doesn't show up as much as it does on a trout or a bass or something like that.
But it's there.
It's
and under the
there.
skin, you can see it very plainly. Right.
And I've told folks before how important the lateral line is to a fish. How about the catfish?
Very much so. He senses smell, lateral line, and his nervous system is partly there. He has an inner air bladder system that also creates smell, but his real key to his smell, and cats could go without eyes really, are the barbels. These are called, we call them whiskers, you and I.
Yeah.
But they're actually, the scientific name is barbels. And he senses and feels the bait before he takes it into his mouth with these. He runs them over the bait. And the other thing you might be interested in, the folks might be interested in reviewing, is that these hard spikes that he has here, these barbs.
I'm holding here, and if he clamps down my finger.
They got a tough mouth. You know, they got a tough, well, he's got a real tough mouth. They're called mad toms. And when they get mad, that's what they do. They stick them out. And the best way to grab a small cat would be from under the belly, and you push your hand up against those mad toms and those fins to hold on to them. Look at that.
Don't make him mad.
But big cats have mad tom just like into small cats, too.
Well, I think the most interesting thing we got about him, though, is his whiskers.
Oh, yes.
And Dan, we all know that catfish are generally caught in murky to muddy water, and you sometimes wonder, well, how in the world did they find that bait? This is the reason.
That's the reason. Sense of smell to start with, and then these are the final sensing tools that they run over the bait before they take it into their mouth. And then, of course, that mouth that you don't want to stick your hand in, that crushes.
Well, Dan, I tell you what, we could continue talking about our buddy here, but why don't we end it and get him back in the water?
I think that's a good idea.
Fortunately, they're good hardy fish where you can pull them out like this and talk about them.
Yeah, you couldn't do that to a lake trout.
No, I'll say hardly any other kind of fish.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put him back in the landing net and we'll get him back in the water.
That's a good idea. All right. Go back for somebody else to catch.
See, I'm impressed with what the DNR up there in Manitoba is doing to try to protect these catfish. There is a 2-fish limit on them. There are an awful lot at this time, but everyone's figuring out how to catch them now. And believe it or not, you can really put a dent in them because they are congregated. These big ones are congregated by the dam, so they are protected. Almost trophy catfish waters up in Canada. Never heard of that? Bud, you see that big catfish I caught?
Yeah.
That's something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to meet Mr. Whisker.
Mr. Whisker. Pretty cagey, boy. Hey, I'll tell you something I bet you don't remember. You remember that time we went and ran trot lines with that guy up on Lake Dardanelle? Yeah. You were so little you may not have remembered. Do you really remember?
Yeah, the biggest fish I ever caught was that catfish.
Well, I don't know if you can say you caught him, bring him in on a trot line. All you did was sit there in the boat. That guy's name was Carl Yarborough. He grows peaches up there in Dardanelle, Arkansas. It sees a place along the road every now and then. Boy, that was nice. Boy, those ones we caught on a rod and reel. Man, I have never caught them that size on a rod and reel before. I got a stick here that I got to get shaved down. See, I've got a great camping trick for you. Most of the time when you're out in the woods, You want some bread with your meal, and you really can't carry a loaf of bread around. It's not very handy. However, you can put a small plastic bag full of Bisquick or some kind of biscuit mix. You can put that in your pocket almost. Come supper time, mix it up a little bit, wrap it around the stick, push it out of the bag, wrap it around the stick like you see me doing right here, and cook it over the fire. Hey, instant bread or, golly, better yet, instant biscuits that go along with those catfish. Say, we're about to run out of time here today, but I got a couple of things I wanted to touch on. Just one letter this week. Got a letter from David Baumgartner from Buffalo, New York, and David was talking about the slot limit of fish, and that is a length limit. Anything too small, you have to turn back. Anything too long or too big, you have to turn back. Anything right in the middle, you know, say from 15 to 20 inches in a bass or a muskie or whatever, you keep that. That's what a slot limit is. And I think he was actually wanting to know what I thought about them, and I think it's a real good deal. I think it may be something that a lot of fishing is coming to. And then, one other thing, I want to talk to you about my Special Olympic project. Started last week telling you about it a little bit, and I wanted to tell you again that we are raising some funds to take a bunch of Special Olympians, some kids, some handicapped, mentally retarded children. We're raising some funds to take these guys fishing later on in the year. It's going to be a big project. I'm really needing for need to get a lot of support from everybody. Some of the projects that are some of the items that we're going to be selling. One of them is the audio tape from audio cassette of a lot of the old fishing hole shows, and I guess most of them are old markers. There's some new ones.
Yeah, we're gonna put a couple new ones on there, like Mr. Whiskers, the tune we heard today.
Just heard that a little bit ago.
Yeah. And then the old fishing hole breakdown and whatnot.
These old knothead boys of mine here have really put out some good music over the years, and that is going to be available to you. The videotape, the history of the fishing hole is going to be available. We've got T-shirts and hats and lots of clothing. If you want to help us, and again I say, I'm really dependent on you. If you want to help us, please drop me a note, send me a letter, a postcard to this address right here, and I'll send you a real nice brochure with all these fishing hole items on there. Remember, all proceeds from these items are going to this fishing trip with these Special Olympic kids. And Mark, we really want folks' support because we think we have a neat project going here. We want them to jump in there behind us. That's about it for today. We got to get on down the road. We'll see you next week. If you can believe that. We'll take a little break from it, though. We'll go up to Conway, Arkansas, the central part of the state, to visit with a young boy by the name of Kenny West, who is a knife maker. Kenny is kind of a throwback, I think, from the olden days. He is maybe the best knife maker there is, and on top of that, he's just really a super, super person. I think that he has a lot to say that we need to listen to. Ken, I love your little one-man operation up here. This is beautiful.
Thank you. That's what it is, a one-man operation.
Don't never change this, incidentally. We heard some fellas out there saying you needed a bigger shop. Oh, man, don't ever change it.
I think that would ruin the business I'm in because of the fact that the friends come here because they can let down and not feel like they're just a statistic somewhere in a big store.
Do you feel like, I know you've already talked to me about this a little bit, do you feel like this is a thing that's getting away from our country, not as many people actually doing this?
Yes, I feel like there's a lot of people who maybe possibly buy blades and put handles on them, but to me that's not knife making. But I feel like as a whole this country has got to, they've got to...
in spite of the fact that you've got all sizes and shapes, I like this little guy right here better than any of them.
I do too. I send a lot of this knife out west. A lot of your elk hunters and a lot of men up in the northern country like to hunt caribou and moose prefer a short blade with a drop point here where it drops and you have a good point to the knife, but you also have a good belly to it, and this is where you do all your skinning right here. But at the same time, you need a point, a good sharp point for entrance into the hide.
Ken, right there is the most important thing, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, Jerry, that's your D2 tool steel. D2 is one of your tool steels that I prefer for knife making, and is probably the most widely used steel for knife making by knife makers.
Comes in a bigger piece than that, I guess.
Yes, well, yeah, what I buy it in 6-foot lengths. You can get it any thickness you want and any width you want, or you can buy it in sheet form.
Well, do you think this is better than saw blades?
I like it, yeah, I prefer it much better than I do saw blades because of the fact it won't rust on you near as easily, and the average man will not take care of a knife. And I prefer it also for the consistency of the metal and its ability to hold an edge once it's taken care of and tempered properly.
Then you got to cut a piece off of it and come up.
Point now to where they feel like they have to mass produce everything to stay up with competition with foreign products, and you lose the quality there.
Well, you know, a guy who's wanting to fillet fish or wanting to dress out an animal or just have a beautiful knife to hang up wants a good sharp blade on it.
That's right.
And this, then the way you're doing it, guarantees a sharp blade, doesn't it?
It'll be kept sharp for the life of the knife free. That's just something I feel like a business can be built on service instead of maybe just getting a man's money, to try and get him in here and give him some service for once.
Well, these are beautiful. I guess